Jumping straight into the news, it's being reported and said Lane Kiffin will announce after the Egg Bowl, which is in about a week or two, that he will be the next head coach at Auburn. This doesn't make sense to me, and I just don't understand why he would do this, but I have to remind myself, we're talking about Lane Kiffin. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas. I'm in a great mood. I hope you guys are in a great mood as well. And you want to know why I am? Because it's Friday. You know what that means? We're one day closer to the best day of the week, and that's Saturday. I just love Saturdays during the college football season, and I'm sure some of you are like this. I'm a person, I always gotta be doing something. I can't stand or sit still. It drives me crazy. But, and I have a big but, during college football Saturdays, I can justify to myself sitting on the couch for 14 hours a day and watching nothing but football and doing nothing else. I'm a very simple man, and I think a lot of us on this channel, we're simple women and men. I don't like to go to the clubs, party, do this or do that. I like to cook me some ribs, cook me a nice steak, and get me a Diet Coke, and that's all I need in this life. That's a 10 out of 10 day to me, cooking me some steak and ribs and watching college football. I mean, come on now, can it get any better than that? To me, it can't. Anyways, getting a move on. Sorry for the long intro. We gotta talk about the breaking news about Lane Kiffin is apparently leaving Ole Miss after the Egg Bowl. For those of you that are curious, no, I'm not trolling. The Egg Bowl, it's a legit bowl. It's Ole Miss versus Mississippi State, which I believe is played on Thanksgiving. I'm almost 99% sure it is played on Thanksgiving because that's one of my favorite things to do on Thanksgiving is watch that game. Let me check real quick, and yeah, it is. When I first saw this, I was pretty shocked, and you can also say a lot of Ole Miss fans out there, they don't want to believe it's true. I definitely see where they're coming from. You already know we're going to talk all about that, and also, we got to talk about the SEC. They're no longer going to have the SEC East and West. They're getting rid of divisions. The commissioner, aka one of the greatest commissioners in all of college football, Greg Sankey, has expressed that the SEC is heavily looking into a single division system. I think it's interesting. We got a lot to talk about. Like always, if you're new to the channel or simply not subscribed, there's a bunch of you watching. Consider subscribing. It really helps us out. All right, Matt, blah, blah, blah. Try to grab up. Now, without further ado, say it with me now. Let's get into it. Okay, that intro was way too long. We gotta get to the nitty and gritty. Let's talk about this SEC division stuff for only about a minute or two, and then we gotta talk about old Lane Train. As we all know, or maybe you don't know, I'm going to inform you, Oklahoma and Texas, they're coming to the SEC rather soon. Rather soon. I probably should have said rather quickly. You get what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to assume that's probably why he's thinking about this in the first place, and a lot of people are saying stuff like this, and this makes a lot of sense. They're talking about why not do 4 divisions of 4, top team in each division advances to a Final Four on campus by seedings, then winners play in Atlanta. I kind of like that. I really don't know how I can dumb it down anymore. Instead of having the SEC West and SEC East, you'd have 4 divisions pretty much. Kind of like the NFL style. In the winner of divisions, you go to a 4-team playoff, and then the winner of that, you go to Atlanta, and then so on. Although I, as a college football fan, would love to see it, I think that'd be insanely entertaining. I don't think that's going to happen. Getting back on track with the single division, it doesn't make too much sense to me, and I'm going to explain why. I don't understand personally why you would have one big division when the SEC East and SEC West, it's pretty much equal. I mean, yeah, you're going to have your lopsided years here and there, but for the most part, it's equal. Take a look at it this year. On the SEC East, you got 2 really good teams, Georgia and Tennessee. On the SEC West, Alabama, LSU. And everybody knows this for what, the past 10 years, the SEC East has been a laughingstock. And oh yeah, by the way, in the SEC West, you also got Ole Miss, who has been doing pretty good this year. And for the most part, the past 10 or 15 years, the SEC West is a gauntlet. Whenever Texas and Oklahoma does join the conference, this is what most people think it's going to look like, and I would agree with this. In the new SEC East, you're going to have Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. And in the SEC West, you're going to have Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State, Missouri, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Texas, and Texas A&M. Man, just looking at that gets me excited for the future. Also, like I was saying though, it seems pretty equal. The SEC East, they're good. The SEC West is also going to be good. This is the best comment ever. Look at what this person said. Swampman90 said, a single division with 16 teams in the conference, the single division is at its best when every team plays every team. Not going to work if you only play 8 conference games. Best teams would not be in it. And then under that, somebody said 15-game SEC schedule plus 2 out-of-conference games. Start this season in September and wrap it up in March. Bro, he's just saying what we all want. I mean, let's just be honest. Start the season in September and end it in March. That would be a dream of mine. But just like this person said, There might not be any healthy players by March. And then this dude replied to it and said expand the roster to 150. Bro, I know that doesn't have a chance of happening, but from an entertainment standpoint, don't even try to act like you wouldn't like that. Could you imagine expanding the roster to 150 spots and instead of having, what is it, like 4 quarterbacks on the roster, you have like 10. Instead of having 5 running backs on the roster, you got 15. All in all, though, I have a hard time believing it's going to go back to one big single division or conference, whatever you want to call it. I just don't see that happening. However, you have to remember, Greg Sankey does whatever he wants. Greg Sankey has balls of steel. He doesn't care to piss people off. He's going to do whatever he feels like. And for the most part, that's why I like him. I think he's one of the best commissioners out there. I'll change that. He is the best commissioner. We'll see what happens. Doesn't matter. SEC is always going to be the most entertaining conference. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Did somebody say SEC? I think they did. Speaking of SEC, we got to talk about a team in that said conference, and it's no other than Ole Miss, and we got to talk about Ole Miss's head coach, Lane Kiffin. Jumping straight into the news, it's being reported and said Lane Kiffin will announce after the Egg Bowl, which is in about a week or two, that he will be the next head coach at Auburn. This doesn't make sense to me, and I just don't understand why he would do this, but I have to remind myself, we're talking about Lane Kiffin. When it comes to some of the most questionable head coaches in the game right now, Lane Kiffin's got to be at the top of that list. How would I describe Kiffin? I love him, most of y'all know that, but I'm going to say he's a character, and we'll leave it at that. He is unorthodox. He is different. If you've been keeping up with the videos, you would know the past 3 or 4 times I've talked about this situation, I've told you guys, Lane Kiffin ain't going to Auburn. I've given you reasons. I explained why. It doesn't make any sense. I'll talk about that in just a second. And a lot of other people are kind of looking at it from the same way I am. Check out what this guy had to say. Ain't no way. If Auburn somehow beats Alabama, the fan base is going to lose their mind not to let Caddy get a shot, which is their current head coach, the intern. They better get their guy and lock them in before the IB. For those of you that don't know this person, when he said IB, he's talking about the Iron Bowl. As to why he abbreviated that like most people's going to know what he's talking about, I don't know. I've never in my life seen someone shorten the Iron Bowl to IB, but that's a different conversation for a different day. I want to read you off this comment, though. I find it really fascinating. The Auburn fans have pushed this so hard that if it actually turns out to be anyone else, it will be a massive egg on the face, and whoever they get, even if he's great, will be viewed as a second choice. Oh, okay. What do y'all think about that? And that's true. If they don't get Kiffin, whoever they do hire, let's just say, for example, they wind up hiring Cadillac Williams, then everyone's going to be like, oh, yeah, I guess he's okay, but everyone knows they didn't want him. And even if Cadillac Williams turns out to be the head coach, he's not dumb. He sees all this going on. He knows the fans don't want him. And when I say want him, I'm talking about he's not the first option. It'd kind of be the same thing as if you and a different guy were fighting over a girl. And the girl comes up to you and says, hey, I really like you, but I'm going to go on a date with this guy first and see if I like it or not. She goes on a date. It's terrible. Then she comes running to you and says, hey, I didn't like the date. You want to go out? You see what I'm saying? Nobody, not even Cadillac Williams, wants to be a second choice or a second option. But check this out. This is coming from a very reliable source. He works for the SEC Network. Richard Cross stated, Lane Kiffin has received a new contract offer from Ole Miss that would make him one of the 10 highest paid coaches in college football. It's now a waiting game to see if he will receive an offer from Auburn. More details this afternoon on Sports Talk, blah, 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 blah. What do y'all think about that? I think Lane Kiffin, he's in a situation of he's the girl and he's got the 2 dudes fighting over him. Good old Kiffin's been in some tough spots throughout his coaching career, but this is the one time where he's in a good spot. That's all we know at this current moment. As always, if some more news comes out, which I do anticipate will come out within the next couple of days or weeks, you know I'm going to keep you updated. But what you're looking at right here, this is the tweet that's got everybody going crazy. For those of you that want my opinion on it, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, it hasn't changed. I do not expect Lane Kiffin to go to Auburn. I don't think he's leaving Ole Miss. I'm not going to explain why. I've done that multiple times. I don't want to sound like a broken record player here. If you want to know why, go watch some other previous videos. I've talked about it enough. I still don't believe it's true, even with all these sources coming out and saying it's going to happen. That's my take on it. I am very curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But